Okay, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is, frankly, a huge, incredibly complex puzzle for a lot of people. We are unpacking the hidden emotional drivers behind why men pull away silently in relationships. We're going to explore those really subtle, often completely unnoticed phases of emotional withdrawal, and we'll decode the silent signals that actually happen way before any physical distance even appears. So, right off the bat, let's just challenge a super common assumption. When a man starts pulling away, the very first thought is usually, well, he's lost interest, or maybe he's terrified of commitment, or he just wants his freedom. We kind of jump to those conclusions, right? But here's a really surprising truth. Chemistry and affection might totally capture his attention, and sure, they make him feel wanted. But they absolutely do not guarantee that he feels safe enough to stay emotionally open with you. So if it isn't a lack of interest, what is it? Well, there's one profound, often totally missing element, and it's this: acceptance. It's this deep emotional need that a lot of men are quietly searching for, but they rarely know how to actually ask for it without feeling like they're being demanding or, weak. When this crucial piece is missing, a guy might still care deeply about you, he might love spending time with you and even see a future together, but slowly and silently, something inside of him is just going to start closing up. Now, we need to be crystal clear on how we're defining acceptance here. We are not talking about blind approval. True acceptance is the feeling that he can reveal who he actually is without being constantly corrected, judged, compared to other guys, or, and this is a big one, treated like a renovation project that you need to fix. It is the literal psychological baseline you need for emotional safety. Without it, that's when the withdrawal process begins. So, how does this actually play out? Let's break it down, starting with phase one, the silent shift. These early warning signs are incredibly subtle. Have you ever noticed him just stop sharing those little unfinished details of his day? Like maybe he used to tell you about a minor annoyance at work or some embarrassing thing that happened, and now he doesn't. Those aren't just random stories, they're actually tests for emotional safety. Secondly, he begins protecting his plans and his ideas from your opinion. If he mentions a new idea and is constantly met with doubt or a bunch of harsh criticism, he's going to stop bringing those ideas to the table. He chooses privacy because, honestly, privacy just feels a whole lot safer than facing disappointment. There's a line here that really brilliantly nails this dynamic. He is watching what happens when he shows you a part of himself that is unfinished. Think about that. If a vulnerable moment was ever used as ammunition in a later argument, he learns a really harsh lesson right then and there. Openness comes with a hefty price. So his silence isn't proof that his feelings are gone. It just means he no longer trusts what's going to happen after he opens his mouth. Which naturally brings us right into phase two, defensiveness and distance. This is where things start escalating. You'll see physical distance starting to follow any kind of emotional criticism. You might notice the distance itself, but completely miss the trigger, like maybe a moment where he admitted he was unsure about something, and that uncertainty was treated as a weakness. Because of that, he starts associating closeness with emotional punishment. You're also going to see him get super defensive over really small questions. If you ask, hey, what's wrong? He might just snap back. Why? Because he's expecting every simple conversation to turn into this trial where he has to defend his character. He feels judged, so the walls go up. And if this pattern keeps looping, we hit phase three, the final emotional retreat. This is the rock bottom of the dynamic. In this deep retreat, he basically stops trying to impress you altogether. When his progress is ignored because it isn't quote-unquote perfect, or compliments are always buried under criticism, putting in effort just feels totally pointless to him. He'll also actively start hiding his failures. A lot of men build their identity around competence, so if failure is met with contempt, the shame is just way too heavy to bear. Finally, he stops reaching out for comfort when life gets hard. He might still be sitting right next to you on the couch, handling his responsibilities, but he's processing everything alone. This brings us to a massive takeaway, perfectly captured right here. A man becomes more invested where his effort is recognized, not where he is treated as a permanent disappointment. Look, turning up the criticism to try and motivate him, it's a painful mistake. Constant correction doesn't magically create deeper commitment. It literally just creates emotional exhaustion. Okay, so how do we fix this? Let's pivot and look at what acceptance actually means. First off, let's be absolutely clear about what it is not. Acceptance is not silence. It's not submission. It's definitely not pretending everything is fine when it's totally not. It doesn't mean lowering your standards, and it absolutely does not mean tolerating dishonesty, neglect, or disrespect. Healthy acceptance is never, ever a free pass for bad behavior. Instead, healthy acceptance is all about separating the person from the behavior. Let's look at this comparison. On side A, you have a healthy challenge. That hurt me, and we need to address it. On side B, a damaging attack. You are just a selfish person. Do you see the difference there? You can totally challenge a behavior and hold someone accountable without completely attacking who they are at their core.
Here's another really practical example: supporting versus diminishing. Let's say he shares a risky plan with you. Side A says, "How are you thinking about the risks?" Side B says, "You never think these things through." That first option, it invites him to think with you. It builds a supportive environment. The second option immediately tells him that just being himself guarantees he's going to get judged.
I want to slow down for just a second here, because this distinction is absolutely vital. I can disagree with what you did without deciding that you are worthless. That right there is the absolute superpower of true acceptance. It lets you have total honesty and accountability during a fight, but it does it without nuking the underlying emotional connection. So, where do we go from here? Let's talk about rebuilding emotional safety. When you start seeing that distance creep in, there are 3 steps to keep in mind. First, do not immediately chase him, accuse him of things, or just assume the whole relationship is over. Panicking and reacting to the distance usually just shoves him further away. Second, take a step back and look objectively at the pattern between you two. Ask yourself, does he actually feel heard? Can he admit he messed up without being humiliated? And third, create the exact same emotional safety that you deserve to receive. Because at the end of the day, a healthy relationship just can't survive if only one person is allowed to be imperfect. Which brings us full circle to our main point today. Sometimes distance has absolutely nothing to do with a lack of love. Sometimes distance grows simply because love no longer feels emotionally safe. But here's the good news. When that acceptance is restored, when he stops bracing for immediate judgment and trusts that his weaknesses aren't going to erase your respect for him, that's when honest communication and real closeness finally have the room to come back. I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative question to really chew on. Can both of you be completely honest without turning vulnerability into ammunition? It's a hugely powerful metric for the health of any relationship. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.